Kevin reads, "Welcome to the Pink Hearse Podcast. Today, we're going to take the hearse on a cruise to Tanzania to visit the Hadzabe tribe with the FM station tuned to some modern classical music by Prospect Lux. To begin, Zachary will read a new piece called Zanzibar Blue, exploring the purpose of art, the pursuit of alchemical gold, and the magic properties of static. Following this reading, we'll experience a new composition by Prospect Lux, some time traveler musings from Taylor Cox, and a song from Zachary Murdock's new EP, Everything's Dreaming, which is available now on all streaming platforms. The song is called Fantasia Cryogenic and produced by myself, Red Buttons, and Sure Van Tiger. To support this show and unlock more original writings, art, and music from Zachary and the Pink Hearse Brigade, join us on patreon.com/channelthesun. And now, a quick word from our imaginary sponsors. Zach reads.
This episode is sponsored by Peppy Pen. Not to be confused with Epi or Vape. This pen comes equipped with built-in robotic voices that cheer you on while writing. Great for aspiring authors who experience writer's block, blank page vertigo, delete it disease, and fuck this, I'm going to apply for my real estate license, writing is impossible syndrome. Set your pen to 5 different accents: strongman American, sexy Italian, Paul Hollywood British, Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach, and German dominatrix. Phrases like, keep going, it's supposed to be hard, and if you weren't considering suicide, you wouldn't be a real writer, are guaranteed to put a pep in your scribbles and keep you on the path to self-publishing your diary. And now, before I read my new piece, Zanzibar Blue, can you give us a little palate cleanser, Kevin? Zanzibar Blue. I am writing this in a handmade notebook that my 5-year-old son gave me. The cover is made from navy blue felt that his mother helped him sew with red thread. It is a beautiful little notebook and it means the world to me. I've been hesitating to write in it because it feels deserving of something profound. But here I am, risking looking foolish to myself, like a right-handed pitcher throwing lefty for a change. It's supposed to hurt. That means your muscles are getting stronger. My son's taekwondo coach encourages him with this universal wisdom as I sit here watching them train, eavesdropping the advice. I never took martial arts or learned to defend myself. Perhaps if I had, my bandwidth for discomfort would be greater. Either way, I've been practicing day by day, attempting to strengthen my ability to write stories. Fiction is my weak hand. Poetry and lyrics are my comfort zone. But ever since a child, I have longed to write in prose. On the way from Taekwondo to the library where we are now, our son told my wife and I that it's hard to describe the thoughts in his head about being alive. And because of that, maybe it's best to keep them private. That's why I write, I told him, to attempt to communicate these vague musings, like fiddling with the dial of a car radio between states. And often static rules the airwaves with faint flickerings of familiar songs hidden in the cracklings. I strain to listen closer, but the whispers turn to ads. Shut the fuck up, Zach, growled my landscaping boss at 6:13 a.m. in Brooklyn as we navigated through traffic in a rental truck. I was sitting illegally scrunched on the floor of the cab between my boss and another worker, rapping new lyrics to a song that I had written. I hushed. My boss would always chew his thumb nervously and change the radio station every 30 seconds. He had quit smoking cigarettes and replaced it with his opposable digit. Looking back, I realized that all of my creations have been attempts to hitchhike out of here. Where are you going? Anywhere other than myself. An old story. Paulo Coelho laid it out in The Alchemist. Travel far and wide, seeking dreams of hidden gold, only to return to find the treasure where you were. So I'm back, from my far and wide, sitting by the fireplace, tapping bricks to find the secret spot. At home, I sneak a cigarette and return to these precious blank pages. As my mind settles back into the flow of whatever these sentences are forming, I hear the sound of shattering glass. My son has dropped a jar of artisanal matches as my wife and him prepare to make a fire in our backyard. I flinch. My nerves frazzle and the pull of worldly happenings eclipse the faint melody I am tracing. Finding peaceful moments to slow down and make little word fires are far and few between. The winds of life are unrelenting, and the kindling is rain-soaked. September 11th, 2001 was my first day of high school in New York City. An unbearable amount of static flooded hearts and minds that day. I felt powerless and all-powerful simultaneously. A Buddha-like presence took the driver's seat of I. I felt horrible for the victims and families, but also sympathized with people crazed enough to perform such an act of horror. Was this perspective a sign of wisdom, born of my heart's polar opposites? Perhaps, but my classmates and teachers were not able to relate. To relate to someone. Is it too late now? I am no longer a child, and left-hand pitching isn't yielding any strikes. And no one's watching. No scouts, no fans. I swallow my pride. Like Haruki drinking beer when he had his revelation at the ball game, watching the losing Swallows win. Art. A fine line between diary and entertainment, suicide note or love letter to a friend, an obituary, a recipe, a map, a confession, a rule book, a myth, evidence that you're here. As a teenager in school, when the static grew too loud, I carved "fuck the world" into my arm with a compass point while the girl I loved watched. I put cigarettes out on my arms. Eventually, the feelings became beautiful tattoos. The feelings, the ideas, the ache to relate. Art? Later that year, in 2001, the boy that was me flew to Tanzania with his landscaping boss. The world was reeling from the disappearance of 2 towers, and I was trying desperately to find my secret gold. At the time, rap music had become my newest snakeskin, and staying with a tribe in Mtwara forever changed my scales. I had brought a hip-hop magazine with me, and when a member of the Hadzabe tribe saw the black man in gold on the cover, he sneered. "Mzungu," he said, "stupid white man." Apparently, the American gold dripping from the rapper's neck was not the alchemist's reward I thought it might be. A decade later, upon exiting a mental hospital where I had been held for a 40 days and 40 nights manic episode, my landscaping boss called me. "I heard you went crazy," he said, "so I guess you are a real artist after all." The moments we remember, the moments we forget. This morning I sit hunched over my son's blue felt book and attempt to resist changing the radio station of my mind every 30 seconds, like my boss driving a rental truck in traffic. This body is a rental. Where am I heading? If I turn off the radio, what will I hear? Zanzibar Blue at hotmail.com. That was my boss's email address, and I imagine still is. Perhaps this is a strange email I am writing him that I will never send. "Dear James, you were wrong. I'm not an artist. I don't know what I am, but I am learning more about what I'm not. Perhaps I'm like the Hadzabe tribe, torn between worlds, rolling tobacco in newspaper and inhaling the ink. High off of stories, too much information. The hospital where they put me was Mount Sinai. Perhaps like Moses, I begged to see the Almighty's face, and upon witnessing God's shadow, my hair turned white, and I wandered the desert, babbling for 40 years. Unlike Moses, I will not inscribe my babblings into stone. I will write poetry in felt notebooks that my son made for me and do my best to be myself. I remember you told me about one night when you were sleeping under the stars with the Hadzabe and a snake slithered across your neck. You stayed still as a statue, barely breathing. This is what I am trying to do these days, as fear snakes cross the highway of my throat. Looking up at the stars, as I lay there trying to remain still, I feel frightened that I might fall up. Waves of vertigo overwhelm me, and my groin tingles like when looking down from great heights, except in reverse. The ground doesn't feel safe, and neither does the sky. Do you still listen to FM radio, or have you switched to streaming platforms like most of modern man? No static on streaming platforms. Not sure that's made things much clearer, though. I remember you filmed me one night on a camcorder talking to a witch doctor whose entire face was tattooed. It was dark in his hut, and the footage had an eerie green glow. The man claimed to be 150 years old and said that the 60-odd people in the village were all children of his children's children. He told us he could shapeshift into a lion. Before we slept, he drew a ring of protection around our tent. Upon leaving the village the following day, the brakes on my Chinese-made cruiser bike snapped and I rocketed past you as we rode down a steep path. "Get off," you screamed at me as I flew by, fearing that I would plummet off the cliff bordering the road. I leapt off the speeding bike, attempting to hit the ground running, but instead skidded face first into the gravelly, dry dirt. I had been riding shirtless, and so the skin from my hip to my armpit on the right side of my torso was scraped clean off. As it healed, the scab grew to be nearly an inch thick and cracked when I moved. The witch doctor had given me advice that prior night, prophesying my future in Swahili. Do you remember what he said? I don't. Perhaps his ring of protection did work, and my bike accident saved me from something far worse. In our unrelenting quest to understand everything, it seems we have lost our ability to bow before the mystery. Let there be light has maimed the darkness with LED blades, slicing and splicing the Adams and Eves. Somewhere I hear your throat snake laughing. The rappers' necklaces have also turned to serpents eating their own tails. If I could only understand this hissing from deep within my reptilian mind. I thought it was a warning to not come any closer, but now I'm not so sure. These days, static is rare, and you don't see many snakes. Too many smartphones, too many humans. I'm off to pick up my son at school now. We're going to drive to the art store to buy materials to make more felt notebooks. I wonder what color my next one will be. There is one blank page left in this notebook, and I'm going to leave it empty in case the snake wants to add anything to this little tale. The end, for now.
this headache behind my eyes. All the questions, all the why. I can't hear what I already know. Maybe if I stopped.
Semi-kinda sorta, can he find an order to the many lives behind and in front? This karma can't front, it gets harder and harder. That's what she said. Oscillate between dad jokes and deep quotes. In AA, I see ghosts, shout out amnesia. Sinner having seizures, trigger synesthesia. Can I freeze ya? Cryogenic like Fantasia. Wizard, we been mopping too much, dropping the brush. Let God paint itself, you compliment and I blush. You disrespect and I'm crushed. I should probably hush. Zen monk in a rush, tripping over my robe. That's the flip side of mystic, miserable in my skull. Flipping off my reflection is inevitable. Part of the game, bitch. When your brain is some kind of strange bridge for ancestors, angels, and ghosts. Plus all their crazy kids. I hope that these ropes don't snap. They just did. Trepidation, all this fucking hesitation. Ever waiting for the gatekeeper pacing. Outpatient, taking measures in my fist. Frankenstein and feathers, making birds out of wires twisted. Wish I had an A&R who would listen. Or an AR to wave, maybe then they pay attention. Paying you to listen, that's offensive to the muse. But who am I? Just a henchman. So many fences, Huckleberry with this penmanship. A veteran, yes, but still a baby. Grateful the resistance just strengthens my crazy. Rap trickles from the cheeks like Zach Nicholson. And red buttons is chief. Nurse hatchet backfires, a straight jacket release. I can breathe again, it's me again. Nobody. Toes muddy, just a thimble in the tank. We drove hungrily. Something, something. The end is not important. The point is no point. Just an appetizer for the chorus that goes like.
Talking, I could hear my heart knocking at my door. Maybe if I just stopped talking, I could hear my heart. Maybe I could hear my heart.
Head chief of my village, initiated by healers. Flip a quarter and call on your faith. Humble beginners, got used to tasting this poverty. With these last $2, I'm about to pay for these problems. Overload on my conscience, paid the toll for the answer. Clear the pathway for me, taking care of my parents. Funny, I'm stuck in my ways. I made 100 mistakes, cannot replace this on repeat, on constant instant replay. Ayy, how do you escape? Gun on my face, a gun on my waist, I'm traumatized. I just see too many mamas cry. I just see too many homies I just see too many friends of mine on t-shirts and a pink hearse. No, the ink hurt when it insert. There's 4 lives to the rebirth. Repurpose, resurface, rehearse, and it went perfect. Take a bow while she cursed. She acted out, then we leave Earth. Without the scars on images, you won't connect antennas. Best to lead by demonstration, imitate my killers. Follow the trail of tears. Inherited hell for years. I spill my grace, I face my fears. I will reform, I will be done. Mission completed, here's the key. I hope and unlock your true beliefs. Dreams your heart, your soul can part. Dark compartment, spin the block. Spin the block, spin the block. Can you resonate? Can you feel it drum vibrating in your DNA? Got plenty love to break apart and share for generations. I give my all to save you. I know I'm highly favored, but hell, we tired of living check to check. No more tears to cry, I weep the river nearly to my neck. Don't turn against yourself. Plot twist, you heard this shit 1,000 times, little bro, but you got this. Cross my path, I feed your cabbage patch. I'm not a savage, but salute me like your sergeant passed. I said, cross my path, I feed your cabbage patch. I'm not a savage, but salute me like your sergeant passed. 21.
Sizzle of the cold bath dunk, the hot metal. Over and over and over, the blades of your soul become unbreakable. and ready for an infinite war of your destiny, not just in this life, but it's training for the forever. I like to think of the pains that we go through in our work setting as that kind of forging, a hardening. I used to think that I would lose my creative spirit while serving in the Navy. And at times I was certain that my rainbow phoenix soul, so full of creativity when I was young, was being reduced in the military to a one-legged pigeon from all the stress and all the sufferings, and those kind of out of my mind moments of hating my job so much. I thought I was going to lose all my creativity. But I remember the last day I was in the service, I drove off the military base one final time, and I became a civilian once again. As I passed through those gates, it felt like a cage was being opened up. And that one-legged pigeon that I thought I'd become, it defied all odds. And I wasn't just a phoenix anymore after that hardening. I was actually a jet turbine. And my wings that had kind of died from atrophy from not flying with creative spirit, they fell off and I was a rocket. So I went from phoenix to pigeon to spacecraft. My soul rebuilt itself into a craft that could fly higher than even before. All because of the work. The work. The damn work. Do you get it? Do you understand? Hello?